Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC Fight Night Cater Holloway versus Allen. First things first, make sure you give this video a like, a subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on YouTube, TikTok, wherever there is social media, there is a Stats and Stacks podcast. It's been a pretty rough day today, but we're still gonna fire through this podcast, get everything done, make sure that we make money this Saturday. It doesn't matter how crappy your day is during the week. If you watch a great night of fights and you make money along the way, it makes everything better. I made everything better last week as we hit yet again on all of our locks. Not to jinx anything, knock on wood, we are still crushing. Have still only missed one all year, and we're into April already, baby. The over under looked better this week. Dogs, of course. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Loopy lost. But it's nice to finally have a good bounce go your way on the lock instead of we've had our fair share of locks that lost really close decisions where they should have got the nod. It's always going to even out. So again, I'm having technical difficulties as well. I know this is coming a day later, and honestly, this is like my third attempt recording the pod this week. So if we talk a little faster today, if I kind of fly through some, it's just because I want to make sure we get everything out. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm not here to ramble. I'm here to go ahead and make sure that we win money along the way. So, very first fight of the night, we have Jocelyn Edwards coming in at plus 115, going up against Lucy Pudilova at minus 135. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 315. Under 2.5 plus 245. Let's start with Jocelyn Edwards because I think she sucks. I think she has really high volume. I think she's a good striker. She'll have a 3.5 inch reach advantage here. She does sometimes struggle at the scale, so make sure you're cognizant of that. She also does slow a little bit in some fights, especially the ones where she's struggling on the scale. But at the end of the day, she has high volume, good striking. It's just a 63% takedown defense that's concerning. She hasn't fought the greatest wrestlers. I mean, Jesse Rose Clark's okay at wrestling. Carol Rosa's okay at wrestling. Yanan Wu isn't and took her down. Ramona Pasquale's not the greatest wrestler, but took her down. Ji Young Kim, I can't remember. She got a takedown. Sarah Alpar, she is a wrestler. She took her down. So it's weird. That's how you beat her. You take her down, you control her. She doesn't have an urgent get up game. She does get complacent on her back. On the flip side, we have Lucy Pudilova, where this is her second stint in the UFC. Her first stint, she was 21 years old when she started and had some impressive fights. I mean, going the distance with Irene Aldana is not an easy feat. However, it's not as if she got a win. I mean, Liz Kamucha is very good, but it's not as if she got a win. Antonina Shevchenko, they tried to dial it back a little. She got choked out. That's not a good look by Antonina. And then Justine Kish went out there and decisioned her, and Justine Kish got cut from the promotion. So, not the greatest losses there when she went 0-4. She went to the regional scene and decided, you know what? I'm not getting grinded anymore. I'm going to work on my wrestling. I'm going to work on my jujitsu. I'm going to get real good at it. And I mean, yes, her grappling did get better. We especially saw it in her last fight against Yanan Wu. She went out there and utilized a grapple heavy approach and got a finish via grappling. Went out there and got some elbows from back mount. Looked super good doing it. Problem is, her wrestling's not the greatest. She is traditionally a striker, and honestly, she's been focusing on her wrestling so much that her striking actually looks worse. It's like she only goes in and drills wrestling, ignores her striking, and she's not making any improvements there. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to trust a striker to go out there and out wrestle another striker with higher volume. I'm going to trust that Jocelyn Edwards' takedown defense is getting a little better piece by piece. She's also not the oldest. She's only 27, so that's why you're going to see her getting better. Yeah, the judges really, really, really just decide everything based on damage. And Jocelyn can't do any damage because she doesn't hit hard, but Lucy can't either. So if Jocelyn's able to keep this on the feet, she's a dog. She has higher volume. And she's gonna have my money. So the pick is gonna be Jocelyn Edwards. The bet's gonna be Jocelyn Edwards. All right, next fight of the night, we have Gaston Bolanos at minus 190 going up against Aaron Phillips at plus 160. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is plus 110. Under 2.5 at minus 140. I'll be frank with you. Gaston Bolanos is trash. He's not very good. He's a very good striker. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here. But he's 6-3 in professional fighting. He was over in Bellator and they didn't re-sign him. That's a red flag number one. The reason they didn't re-sign him is because his wrestling is ass and his jujitsu's ass. He's not a good grappler whatsoever. He is very one-dimensional. He hits super hard. He's super strong. But he's a Muay Thai specialist, and that's all he is. He's just a Muay Thai guy trying to make more money in MMA because Muay Thai in America doesn't exactly pay well. At the end of the day, he kind of reminds me of like a Ricardo Ramos, a Molly Meatball McCann, where he finds something that worked and he keeps throwing it with a spinning back elbow. He has multiple spinning back elbow KOs and he spins a shit ton. He could be real technical and go out there and just dominate on the feet, but he throws some wild stuff and especially spinning stuff because he's had success in the past. On the flip side, we have Aaron Phillips. He's his I think his ground game is underrated. He has a few submissions on his record. The problem is he doesn't wrestle. He can't wrestle to save his life. He's predominantly a striker himself. He's someone that likes to strike, he likes to brawl, and then he'll go out there and he'll try to sub you on occasion. The problem is, again, he can't wrestle, and he's fighting a Muay Thai practitioner. Aaron Phillips, you also haven't seen in God. The last time we saw him was 2020. So it's been 3 years. He's pulled out of 4 separate fights. He has his own gym currently, and I think that's his focus, man. He might be coming for a paycheck. He might be coming just to promote his gym and to call it a day. He's overall kind of a generalist. His cardio's okay, jiu-jitsu's okay, striking's okay. Don't get me wrong, he has good losses. I mean, Jack Shore is good. Chris Gutierrez is good. Sam Cecilia is good. Like all those guys are good. So he's beating the crappy guys. He's losing to the good ones. And do I consider Gaston good? No. So I think Aaron Phillips is extremely live, but I also haven't seen him in 3 years. I don't know if the fight's actually going to happen. And I think he's just here for a paycheck. So honestly, the pick is going to be Gaston, but that's the under, man. If Gaston goes out there and kills him because Aaron is just here for the paycheck, the under's going to hit. If Aaron goes out there and decides he's going to grapple and try to catch him in a submission, the under's going to hit. So that's why it's minus 140, but that's not bad value for 2.5. So the pick is going to be Goose Gaston. The bet's going to be the under 2.5. Next fight of the night, we have some sketchiness. We have Denise Gomes at plus 145 going up against Bruna Silva at minus 180. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 210. Under 2.5 plus 170. I am so happy I bet Gomes at plus 200 because again, it's steamed down to 145 and I've seen plus 130 on some lines. All in all, she's very, very good. She's someone I like a lot. She's only 23 years old, so you're only going to see her get better and better. She has high volume. She has good striking. She has good jujitsu. Her wrestling's not the greatest, but she'll mix it in and she'll try to get a few takedowns here and there. Her partner is Carol Rosa, so she's all about MMA all day, every day. And Carol Rosa is a top 10 girl in her division. So, all in all, there's nothing but great things to like about Denise. Her major cons are the fact that she has 44% takedown defense. It's on a short sample size, don't get me wrong, but one of those were constant takedowns from Luma Lubume. I love Luma. I love Luma in all her fights. And she did take the fight on like a week's notice, but Luma is a Muay Thai specialist. She shouldn't be taking you down repeatedly. On her cardio checks out though. She did put Loma in some compromising positions at the end of the fight. So I like everything about Gomes outside of her takedown defense and how she tries to go to takedown. She'll get them once in a while, but she's just not the greatest wrestler. I wish she was a better wrestler because Bruna can't wrestle. Bruna's a one-dimensional striker as well. She's gonna have a 3-inch reach advantage here, but there are a few things I never bet. And one of them are women's MMA scares me with favorites. Women or men's heavyweight scares me as well. And Dana White Contender Series kind of scare me as well. And so do young fighters, honestly. Bruno's not young, but it is women's MMA and shit is her debut from Dana White Contender Series. So she is 2 of my 3 red flags. I guess, honestly, also retirement fighters never win. So she has 2 of my 4 red flags. So I just simply can't bet this girl. I mean, her wrestling's not the greatest. Her jujitsu's not the greatest. She loves to move forward, but so does Denise. So it'll be interesting to see which one gets pushed back. In all honesty, with a reach advantage, I think it's going to be Bruna. I think she's going to be the one that's trying to fight from the outside. And that's not how she generally fights. She likes to march forward, throw some hard teeps down the middle. She throws a crap ton of kicks. The problem is she keeps her hands real low, and her level of competition's awful. I mean, she's fighting girls that are outside the she fought inside the contender series. She fought someone that was undefeated, but they weren't even in that weight class. They just wanted to get a chance to fight the UFC. Before that, she fought someone that was 5-0, 2-1, 3-3, 12-13, 2-0, 2-1. 1-0, and Ariana Carnelosi it was 0-1 at that point. Carnelosi beat her, destroyed her, and Carnelosi's also in the UFC. Isn't that good? She's been getting demolished in the UFC. So the fact that she fought someone that's getting killed and got killed is very, very concerning. So I think Bruna is overrated. I think there's a spot for her on the roster, but I think Denise is a dog. So I'm all over her. The pick is going to be Denise. The bet's going to be Denise. I'm pissed the line moved the way it did. I'm happy I got it where I got it. But if you're betting Denise, I would bet it now. All right. Next fight of the night, we have another possible live dog. We have Groovy Londo Venata plus 100 going up against Daniel Zellhuber at minus 120. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 195. Under 2.5 at plus 160. Let's start with Daniel because that's the one that everyone doesn't know what to do with. Daniel is a good wrestling, good striking, good jiu-jitsu, 6-inch reach advantage. He's only 23 years old, so every time we see him, he's going to get better and better. He has good cardio. He has it all. He's had a good camp at Extreme Couture. He has it all. The problem is he has one loss, and it was his only fight in the UFC. He absolutely froze against Trey Ogden. Don't get me wrong. He was 22 years old. He went out there, and we just saw Rahul Rosas lose last week. We see a lot of these young people go out there and just Zhu Rong comes to mind. Like these guys go out there and they just freeze. The cameras aren't there. They're no longer in a little isolated area. They're in front of thousands and thousands of people with UFC written across their shorts, and they just get scared. They're not themselves. They don't fight the same way. And we saw it affect Daniel. He goes out there and he throws a ton of volume, and he threw nothing. It's like he literally was scared to do anything out there. He just didn't want to get hurt. On the flip side, when he does fight the normal way he does have tall man defense. I hate when they don't block and just lean backwards. That's a recipe for disaster. Someone's going to hurt him and affect him with that. I don't know what's going to be Groovy, solely on the fact that we don't know what type of Groovy we're going to get. We've seen good Groovy. We've seen bad Groovy. We've seen good Groovy for a whole fight. We've seen good Groovy for just one round. Like, you never know what version of Wando Venata you're going to get. Overall, he's a good striker. He has a D1 wrestling pedigree, even though it was just for a semester. He was still at least recruited for it, so you know he's a decent wrestler. Jiu-Jitsu's a little questionable, but his level of competition. I mean, fighting Bobby Green, fighting Charles Jourdain, Mark Diakase, Jakar Close, David Tamor, Tony Ferguson. Like, those are his losses, and all those guys are phenomenal fighters. All of his wins, suspect. I mean, John Medeski, you have Marcos Marino, we have Yancy Medeiros, Mike Grundy. All the guys he's beaten have been cut. All the guys he lost to are top 15. So where is Lando Venata in there? Somewhere in the middle. Where is Daniel in that mix? Somewhere in the middle, and that's why this is almost a pick 'em. It's a close line fight for a reason. If anything, I would say they're both pretty durable. So I probably lean the over here. So the pick is going to be I'll take Zellhuber. I think he looks better as second outing. So I'll take Zellhuber, but the bet's going to end up probably being 2.5. I don't want to pick a side on this. Vegas thinks it's close, and I agree. I think it's close as well. All right, next fight of the night, we have Pierre Rodriguez at plus 105 going up against Julian Robertson at minus 125. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 120. Under 2.5 minus 110. Let's start with Pierre Rodriguez because I don't think Pierre is good. Pierre is someone I actively want to fade. Her wrestling's okay. Her striking's okay. Her jiu-jitsu's okay. Her schedule's eh. Her takedown defense is okay. She slows. She's just an overall generalist. She doesn't do anything wrong, and she's not bad in any area. It's just she's not great anywhere. She does train with like Mackenzie Dern and Tabitha Ricci, so her jujitsu's a lot better than people give it credit for. And her wrestling, I mean, her last fight, she had 5 takedowns against Sam Hughes. Her striking, she does have some knockouts and hits pretty decently hard. Like she does everything right. Like her cardio is her biggest issue, to be quite frank with you. She's 30 years old, so it's not as if she's super new. I mean, fight years, she's not 30, but again, it's not going to see major physical development at this point. On the flip side, we have Jillian Robertson, and she's the definition of one dimensional, just like Gaston. Only difference is she's not a striker, she's a grappler. She's a jujitsu practitioner. She cannot wrestle to save her life. She cannot strike to save her life. She's super low volume. She's extremely hittable. Her jujitsu is great. Don't get me wrong. All of her wins are basically by sub. Her cardio's all right. It seems to check out. And she too has some pretty good losses. Yeah, she has 7 losses on her record, but I mean, they're to Macy Barber, they're to JJ Aldridge, they're to Tyla Santos, who just fought for the title. Myra Bueno Silva, Cynthia Calvillo. Like, these are pretty decent fighters, and a lot of these are at 125. She's only fought at 115 one time in the UFC, and she missed weight. So that's the thing. She missed weight. She went up to 125, has been there ever since. So let's see if she can make the weight first, and let's see how she looks on there. She might be someone we have to fade later on. So if you have someone that is one dimensional, and might have a troublesome weight cut, and they're the favorite, you have to go straight dog or pass on this. So the pick is going to be Piera. The bet's going to be Piera. Simply dog or pass situation. Next fight of the night, we are looking at Ed Shortfuse Herman at plus 190 going up against Zach Cummings at minus 225. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 185. Under 2.5 at plus 150. God, this fight fucking sucks. Let me tell you why. Because Zach Cummings is going to end up being a lock this week, and I don't understand why. He's 38 years old. He hasn't fought since 2020, so it's been 3 years. He traditionally fights at welterweight or middleweight, and this fight is at light heavyweight. Nothing there sounds good. He's pretty low volume and he's pretty hittable too. He also has 65% takedown defense, and I'm still gonna bet him. One, all of his losses are pretty decent too. Omari is pretty good. Bazaris is pretty good. Santiago is pretty good. Gunnar Nelson's pretty good. Ryan Jimeno was a tank. Tim Kennedy is pretty good. Like, he literally has 0 bad losses on his record. He doesn't have any good wins. DeCherico and Trevin Giles are probably his best ones. Maybe Nathan Coy. That's not a good look, but I mean, he's not losing to the bad guys. The reason you have to lock him up is because he's fighting Ed Herman. And Ed Herman is grandkids at this point. Like, he is legitimately 42 years old. He also isn't a light heavyweight. He generally used to fight at middleweight, so he's also going up a weight class. I mean, Cummings is going up too, but Ed is going up a weight class. He's 42. He has no cardio. He has power and he has jujitsu, but he's the slowest man in the UFC roster. Like, even like Chris Barnett or Chase Sherman are faster than this guy. Like, this guy is very, very slow. He last fought in 2021, so it's not like he fights all the time himself. His cardio is extremely poor because of how old he is, and he's extremely hittable, and he's a little bit chinny. So, I mean, you can't be slow, chinny, and have bad cardio and try to fight at 42 years old. Just not going to work out. So the pick is going to be Zach Cummings. The bet's going to be Zach Cummings, and I feel it feels absolutely gross. Next fight of the night is an absolute travesty. We have Brandon Royval plus 175, which is bullshit, going up against Mateus Nicolau at minus 205. Over 2.5 minus 110, under 2.5 minus 120. I'll be frank with you, Raw Dog's my favorite fighter in the UFC, so I am going to be 110% biased, and I have no shame towards it. I don't know why this fight is a title eliminator and is in SmackDown in the middle of a fight night card. How this isn't the main or the co-main, I have absolutely no idea. I know I'm extremely biased, but these two, whoever wins, literally fights for the title. What are they doing fighting after TJ Brown? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. And I also don't like that Brandon Royval is plus 175. I mean, the guy has phenomenal jiu-jitsu. He's very unorthodox on the feet. He has infinite cardio. He will strike you for days. Um, He's gonna have a 4.5 inch reach advantage here. Like he has a lot of great stuff going for him. My main concern with this guy is the fact that his fight IQ is a little questionable because his striking's not good. He just gets into wars and he does some weird shit. He does spinning back elbows and flying knees and all this craziness. So at the end of the day, the crowd might hype him up a little bit. Um, I don't know, man. It's because Mateus fights so poorly. He just skirts around the outside of the octagon and tries to land the counter and knock you out. Brandon Royval's a little chinny. So, yeah, he does some phenomenal stuff. Yeah, he tapped out Matt Schnell, but he got rocked before that. Yes, he beat Bontarine, but he got taken down 8 times. He looked great against Pantoja. He just got caught. He looked great against Moreno, but his shoulder popped out. Yeah, he's won against Kai Kara France, but he got dropped right before he got the sub. Tim Elliott took him down like 5 times before he got the sub. There's a lot of stuff that looks really, really bad. He faces adversity and then he comes back and wins. That's what he does over and over and over. On the flip side, we have Mateus Nicolau, who legitimately just skirts around the edge of the cage and hardly throws anything. It's pretty low volume. His counters very well, which is concerning because Royval is there to get countered. He's one of the most hittable fighters I've ever seen in my life, Royval. So that's really good for Nicolau because he packs a ton of power. He also is rocking a 93% takedown defense, so Royval's not going to be able to take him down. When it comes to the striking, it's going to be volume versus power. And I know the judges have been favoring damage, but you're also going to have Royval on the crowd side. So this is a super, super close fight. It's probably Nicolau, and Nicolau is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so he's going to be tough to tap out. It's probably Nicolau by knockout or Royval by decision, most likely. Which one am I going to take? I'm going to rock with Royval. One, because it, yeah, I'm biased. That's why I'm going to rock with Royval. So the pick is going to be Raw Dog. The bet's going to be Raw Dog. Let's get it. All right. Next fight of the night, no bias at all. We have Bill Algeo as a minus 200 favorite going up against downtown TJ Brown at plus 170. Over 2.5 is minus 215. Under 2.5 at plus 175. Let's start with Let's start with TJ Brown. He has some a wrestling pedigree at Division One, so he's a pretty decent wrestler. His grappling's pretty good. I think he's like a brown belt. His striking's not terrible. He's a good jab, but not really much else on the feet, to be quite frank with you. He used to train at Glory MMA, which was in Kansas City. I know it's been disbanded since the whole debacle with sports betting. Um, but at the end of the day, he's still probably going to have the crowd with him. The issue is his fight IQ and how sloppy he is. Yes, he can get a takedown, but he always finds a way to do something that's going to piss you off and lose position. He does this over and over and over. He'll get a takedown and he'll go for a sub and lose position. He'll get a takedown and he'll get swept. He'll get a takedown and he'll get reversed. Like this dude always does something right, followed up by something so goddamn stupid. Like his fight IQ is net low. Like it's very, very bad, and it makes every single fight a close fight. On the flip side, Bill Algeo has infinite cardio. He has cardio 4 days. His striking's really good. Problem with Bill Algeo is that he has absolutely no power. And again, the judges are judging damage, and it's kind of hard to see Bill Algeo's considering he has zero power whatsoever. He throws a super high volume, but then he also has a 55% takedown defense. Like he's been taken down like 40 times in 6 fights, so it's very concerning. He has a good get up game. He's very hard to sub. I don't think he's ever been subbed. He's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. So Bill Algeo's definitely the better fighter. It's just he has no power and TJ's the better wrestler, but TJ always does something fucking stupid. So the bet is going to be Bill. The bet's going to be Bill, but I'm not going to feel good about this fight at all. Next fight of the night is another pretty interesting one. We have Clay the Carpenter Guida at plus 210 going up against Rafa Garcia at minus 250. Over 2.5 minus 215. Under 2.5 plus 175. Let's start with Garcia. At the end of the day, he's a pretty good jiu-jitsu practitioner, even though you don't see it a ton. He's a very, very, very good wrestler. He just doesn't have a lot of top control. And his striking's good. He hits decently hard, to be honest with you. He just slows down in his fights. He has 76% takedown defense, so as good as he is offensively, he's a little bit of a liability defensively. So that'll be pretty interesting. And he's very durable. He's not going to get put away. On the flip side, we have Clay Guida, who is getting a little chinnier the older he gets. But his cardio is always going to be there. His wrestling is always going to be there. He's going to have a 2.5 or 2 inch reach advantage here, which is good. He just has low volume. He's kind of hittable, and he's 41. The crowd's going to be with him, to be honest with you. But although Clay is known for being a great wrestler, he is also rocking a 68% takedown defense. So they're going to be able to take down each other. They're both going to be able to get up because neither one of them have a good controlling top game. And when it comes to the striking, Hoffa all day. When it comes to the jiu-jitsu, I'll give the edge to Hoffa, but Guida's not easy to tap, so I'll say a wash. But Hoffa has more ways to win. So the pick is going to be Hoffa. The bet's going to end up being Hoffa, but I just have a bad feeling about it. Next fight of the night is another one that's pretty 50-50, but the line is way off. We have Pedro Munoz at plus 185 going up against Chris Gutierrez at minus 215, over 2.5 minus 215, under 2.5 plus 175. I'm kind of getting Rob Font, Adrian Yanez feels. You have the young upstart who's kind of reminiscent to the guy he's fighting a veteran who's been here forever. Let's start with Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz is a very good striker. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's very, very good on the ground, but you never see it, mainly because he's only taken like 2 shots in his entire UFC career, and I'm not being facetious by any means. He's fought the who's who, the Frankie Eggers, the Dominic Cruz, the current champs, the former champs. Like, he's fought everybody. My main concern is that he's 36 years old. So although his cardio is great now, who knows how he'll be. He loves to counter a lot. And Chris also likes to counter. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who goes first and gets out of their comfort zone. And he's a little hittable, to be honest with you. He's not the fastest. He's kind of slow. He gets outboxed all the time. Just mainly on the fact that he's not fast. He throws a ton of leg kicks to try to slow you down so that you are his pace. On the flip side, we have Chris Gutierrez, who's going to enjoy a 2-inch reach advantage here. He has great striking, crazy leg kicks, just like Pedro Munoz. My thing with Chris is that his ground game is not good. We saw someone like Cody Durden take him down and hold him down for minutes at a time. So his ground game is very concerning. His wrestling and his jiu-jitsu, they're sufficient. He didn't get tapped out or anything, but he was controlled, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. He's going to be a lot faster, and he will mix in a takedown here and there. But again, Pedro has 81% takedown defense, so I don't know. Even though he's going to try to take him down, is he going to be successful? I don't know. So at the end of the day, you should go with the youth, and I should take Chris. But these odds are way off. This is sheer dog or pass for Pedro Munoz. So the pick is going to be Chris, but there's no way I'm betting it. I'd bet Pedro or the over, to be honest with you. I don't think either one of these guys have ever been knocked out. I can tell you who has been knocked out, though. Ian Cutelaba, minus 125, going up against Tanner Boser at plus 105. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 135. Under 1.5 at plus 105. Yeah, no, you're not, your eyes aren't deceiving you. This is Tanner Boser, a light heavyweight. He's made light heavyweight one other time in his career, and he's looking to do so again with his career on the line, back up against the wall. He has very good striking. He has good cardio, 64% takedown defense. That's a little concerning. People like Rogerio Nascimento was able to take him down multiple times. Alir Latifi was able to take him down multiple times, and he doesn't have any ground game whatsoever. So if you take him down, you can kind of hold him there, to be honest with you. He's not really getting tapped out as soon as he goes down there, but he's not getting up. So that's not a good look. He'll definitely be I don't know if he'll be the faster guy. He was always the faster guy at heavyweight, but he never really had any power. Is he going to have more power now that he's dropping a weight class? Is he going to make the weight? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks and a lot of things I want to see on the scale. On the flip side, speaking of scales, Ian Cutelaba, he's going to go up there, probably dressed in green as the Hulk. He's a Sambo world champ. He has good wrestling. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has okay striking, and he has zero cardio whatsoever. He also is a little chinny. If you catch him, he'll go out pretty easily here. I don't know, man. He's definitely fought the better guys. He's fought a lot of absolute killers. He fought Johnny Walker. Did he fight Ryan Spann? I feel like he did. He did. It was canceled. He did fight Ryan Spann. He fought Kennedy Njoku. He's not a killer. Devin Clark. Magomed Ankalaev, who should be the champ twice. Khalil Roundtree, Glover Teixeira, former champ. Like he's fought the who's who here, and he's looked pretty good. He's given a pretty decent account for himself. It's just he gasses, man. He should come out here, just take down Tanner Boser and make it look easy. But I don't know if he can do that for 15 minutes. Like I don't know. He's definitely going to be the pick, but this is almost lined out to pick him as well. So I'm just gonna pray that this 64% takedown defense doesn't hold up. So the pick is gonna be Eon. The bet is gonna be Eon, and I really don't hate the over at just. Oh my god, the over or under is at 1.5. The over 1.5 at -135, I absolutely love. I think that's cool. You might get plus money at the over 2.5. That's a super good look as well. And honestly, Eon by decision is like plus 900 or plus 700 or something. That's also a phenomenal look. So I'd probably look that way if anything. Next fight of the night, we have Dustin Jacoby at -170 going up against Azmat Mirzakhanov at plus 145. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 -105. Under 2.5 -125. Let's start with Jacoby because he's a glory kickboxer, just like Izzy, just like Pereira. He's a very, very good striker. He's going to have a whopping 7-inch reach advantage here. He has really, really great striking, really, really great cardio. The problem with him is his 58% takedown defense. I mean, it's getting better. We've seen it in his last few fights where he's not just getting taken down as easily. And he was in the UFC, he got cut, and then he came back to the UFC. So again, his takedown defense is also including all of his fights prior to. Since coming back, it's looked a lot better. Like Maxime Grishin didn't get him easy. John Allen couldn't really get him down. Darren Stewart didn't get a chance to do anything. Yeah, I don't know. Ian Kutsalaba did, but it went to a draw. Daun Jung, he just knocked out. I don't know, man. He's on this big win streak. I understand his last loss was a split to Khalil, but no one agrees that he lost that fight to the point where they're both ranked number 13 in the world right now. They share a ranking because no one thinks Khalil actually won that fight. On the flip side, we have Azmat. I mean, he's your classic scary Russian. He has pretty decent wrestling, just honestly because he's Russian. His striking's pretty good. He has a ton of power. He's pretty fast, but I've seen him outstruck a ton. I mean, Stefan Njoku was able to outstrike him. Devin Clark looked like trash. Um, it was a decent fight in the contender series before he got the finish. He has a lot of round one finishes because he's very fast and has a ton of power, but he's not actually a light heavyweight. I think he's truly a middleweight. So he just uses his speed and his power to do everything. But Dustin's very durable, and Dustin has cardio for days. So if Asmat starts to slow, Dustin will take over. And Dustin knows his management, his distance control, and he's gonna have a 7-inch reach advantage here. So the pick is gonna be Dustin, and the bet's gonna be Dustin. Asmat will try to get a takedown a few times, but he's not gonna chain grapple at all. All right, next fight of the night, we are looking at Edson Barboza at plus 150 going up against Billy Q, Mr. Buffalo, -175. Over 2.5 is -120, under 2.5, -110. Let's start with Billy Q because I talked about being biased with Raw Dog. Billy Q is from Buffalo, like myself, so obviously I love myself some Billy Q. He's a good striker. He's a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's an okay wrestler. He's a little bit of a generalist himself, to be quite frank with you. He'll try to mix in wrestlings and try to tire you out, but that's his best weapon is his cardio. You talked about Raw Dog. You talked about Dustin Jacoby. These guys with good cardio. Dude, Billy Q's is second to none. I've never seen anything like it. Clay Guida. He has very high volume. He doesn't hit hard at all. He has zero power whatsoever, but he tries to just overwhelm you, throwing like over 7 significant strikes per minute. And again, don't sleep on that black belt. He's very, very good on the ground too. He's good everywhere you go. He has been rocked from time to time, but he doesn't actually ever like go out and get KO'd. So just make sure if he fights a really heavy striker, you're cognizant of the fact that he gets hit and he gets cracked in almost every fight. Edson Barboza is kind of that guy, to be quite frank with you. Edson Barboza is a very, very scary striker, spinning wheel kick knockouts. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage here. 75% takedown defense, so it's not going to be easy to get him down. My major concern with him is that he's 37 years old. He's starting to slow down, and he's down at 145 when he fought at 155 for quite some time. So those weight cuts are kind of tough, and he looks absolutely drained when he weighs in. When it comes to schedule, he's fought the who's who. He's fought the Justin Gaethjes. He's fought the Bryce Mitchells, the Giga Jacads, the Dan Igues, Paul Felders, the Habibs, Kevin Lees, Dan Hookers. He's fought literally everyone, but Neil, Anthony Pettis. Like he's fought the who's who of the lightweight and featherweight division. And he's looked good in every single one. So at the end of the day, I think this is a sheer dog or pass. I love Billy Q. So what I'm probably going to do is bet Edson Barboza as the dog. And if he starts to slow down, then you can bet Billy Q as a dog later on because he has infinite cardio. And that's going to take us to the main event here. We have Max Holloway at minus 180 going up against Arnold Allen at plus 155. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 minus 145. Under 4.5 at plus 115. Let's start with Max. I'll be honest with you. He looks bad. I don't like how Max is looking right now. He looks a little drained. I don't know if he's long for 145. I think he's going to have to go up to 155 pretty soon here. I mean, it's great striking, high volume. Good takedown defense, 84% takedown defense. Another infinite cardio guy. But the thing is, he's just starting to fade a little. I mean, he lost a fifth round to Yair Rodriguez. That's not a good look. He's durable, but I've seen him cracked a few times recently. He's only 31 on paper, but in fight years, this dude's like 50. He was in the UFC when he was 20 years old. It's 2023. He's 31, so he's been in the UFC for 11 years. And he's not just fighting, he's fighting Jose Aldo multiple times. He's fighting Conor McGregor. He's fighting Dustin Poirier multiple times. He's fighting Volkanovski 3 times. Like he's fighting the literal best the UFC's ever seen. Charles Oliveira, like he's fought the who's who of everyone. He's so good. It's just man, his fight years, man. He's 31, but he has been fighting the best of the best since he was 20, and it just looks like it's starting to wear on him a little bit. On the flip side, we have Arnold Allen, who I think is completely overrated. He hits decently hard. I'll give him that. He has pretty good striking, but he's very low volume, and he has a lot of fights where he was losing. And this damage criteria is the only reason he won the fight. His jiu-jitsu is sneaky good. His wrestling's okay. And his striking's good. It's just he slows down. Again, Max is known for his cardio and his volume. Arnold Allen is known for his power, and he starts to fade. I don't think he's going to be able to take down Max. So I think the jiu-jitsu is a wash anyway. But the wrestling is he's not going to be able to take down Holloway. So this should be a striking ordeal. And if he does that, I think it's going to look very eerily similar to the Cater fight. Again, Max is he's definitely fading. But I think he has enough to take out Allen. So the pick is going to be Max. The bet's going to be Max, and you're getting Max at minus 180. That's the best price I've seen on Max in a long time. So again, that's UFC Fight Night, Kansas City. Holloway versus Allen. If you haven't already, give this video a like, give it a follow, a subscribe, give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever there's social media. There's a Stats and Stacks podcast, and there's a winning ticket, baby. Let's get it.